16th, 2011 Parish Planning and Zoning Meeting. Would you all please stand while Coach Williams says the invocation and pledge?
Gracious Father in heaven, we give you thanks for your many blessings. We thank thee for the opportunity to see another new year. We ask that blessing upon this board, also this staff. And we ask the blessing on those in the audience who come to seek help from this board. And we ask that let the Holy Spirit dwell with us and around us, that we might do that which is pleasing in our sight. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Christie, would you please call roll?
Yes. Chair Harold Doucette.
Here.
Vice Chair David Connor.
Here.
Mr. LaSalle Williams.
Here.
Mr. Jake Porche.
Here.
Mr. John Duhan.
Here.
Mr. Ray Taylor.
Here.
Mr. Whit Baker.
Here.
Mr. Gary Navarre.
Here.
Miss Betty Brown.
Here.
Miss Latricia Cobb.
Here.
Mr. Elijah Gilry.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. This is an 11-member board. It will take a majority of those members present to grant or deny any request heard tonight. The meeting will be conducted with me reading the request from the agenda. After a motion to approve and a second is received, the planning staff will clarify the request and report their recommendations. If the applicant would like to add to the staff's clarification, or if someone from the audience has comments, please come to the microphone and state your name and address and the nature of your request. All persons wishing to speak tonight, other than the applicant, need to fill out a blue request to appear card, which is in the back of the room. Form located. I recommend that a spokesperson be selected if there's a group wanting to speak on the same agenda item. In general, speakers other than the applicants will be allowed a total of 5 minutes time to speak. After the discussion, the board will vote on each request. I will announce the decision of the board after the vote. All zoning exception and variance cases are final tonight. The road abandonment case will go before the police jury for final action on Thursday, January 20th, 2011 at 5:30 p.m. in this same room. This meeting is being taped by the Calcasieu Parish Government Channel and can be viewed on Wednesday and Thursday following the meeting. For additional run dates, check the website at www.cppj.net. Channel 5 in Lake Charles and Sulphur, Channel 61 in Moss Bluff, Westlake, Vinton, and DeQuincy, Channel 99 in Carlos and Grand Lake. If you would, please turn off all cell phones, pagers, any kind of communication devices that you may have that make noise. Item agenda number 5, we'd like to take appropriate action to approve the minutes of the November 16th, 2010 Planning and Zoning meeting.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Duhan, a second by Mr. Guillory. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes pass. We're going to move item 9 up to right below 5. So if you look at agenda item number 9, take a look at it, read it to you. Item 9 is to take appropriate action on case RA05001-11, a request by Larry and Steve Holly to abandon approximately the west 685 feet of Fountain Cemetery Road in Ward 5. Ms. Jennifer, could you explain?
Well,
Defer?
the petitioners have an attorney that is involved, and some of the adjoining property owners also have an attorney that's involved. And we would just like to request that you all defer this so that the attorneys can get together and try to mediate some issues that have come up.
Motion to defer.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Duhan to defer.
Second.
Second by Ms. Cobb. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 9 is deferred. Okay, sir, could you please step to the microphone? I'll entertain it for just a second. Name and address, please.
My name is Tom Bledsoe. I'm from Jasper, Texas. I represent Fisher Lindsay, Louisiana Lands. We have about 1,500 acres of land that is only accessible by this right-of-way. I came from Jasper here today. I was not informed that this item was going to be deferred. I have a gentleman here representing several thousand acres of land that's only accessible by this right-of-way. He came all the way from Houston. We have several other gentlemen from Starks, Louisiana, who are here. We would like to be heard on this issue.
Yes, sir, I understand that, and you will be heard. Right now, the staff is recommending that we defer.
We don't want to have to
We
come
have-
back to be heard.
Sir, my advice may be to get with staff and get the contact information of our attorney. The attorneys are going to be involved. They're going to try to do some mediation and talking about the agenda, the item, and at that point, it'll be brought back to this board for a decision.
And when will that be?
Our next meeting is February 15th.
February 15th, sir.
I'm not sure I'll be available February the 15th.
Okay,
We
sir.
came here today to be heard.
Yes, sir. And I apologize for that, but it's been deferred till that meeting.
Well, my attorney didn't meet with anyone.
Okay, sir. If you would, you could call the staff and Ms. Jennifer.
We would be happy to take any written comments or opinions.
I've already sent a letter to the staff with my comments. This item came up before about 12 years ago when the same people requested this, and they pulled the same stunt that time. Had all of us have to turn around and go back home and then come back down here to be heard. Police jury at that time voted unanimously to keep this right-of-way open because they recognize that everyone in Starks uses this right-of-way to get into that river bottom. It's the only access in there. And I'm sorry, but, you know, I think we should have been heard before this vote was made on the deferment.
Okay, sir. Well, it's been deferred, so next month is the next, it'll be back on the agenda. Sorry, and thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Well, when it is back on the agenda, I recommend that this board send it to the police jury with a recommendation that that right-of-way stay open.
Thank you, sir. Number 6 is take appropriate action on case EX 07-001-11, a request by Rhodes Veterinary Hospital, Inc., Profit Sharing Trust, for a zoning exception to allow a borrow pit, 4 acres, at 2597 WPA Road in Ward 4. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with stipulation.
I have a motion to approve for stipulations. Do I have a second? A second by Mr. Duhon. Ms. Jennifer?
This property is located northwest of Sulphur. It encompasses 40 acres of A1 agricultural zone property. And the petitioners would like to dig a pond on site and have 50% of the dirt be removed from this property and go down the private road, down the public road, I apologize, to another piece of property that the petitioner owns. When the dirt pit is complete, it will be used as a personal use pond, and the staff does recommend that the request be granted with the customary stipulations that I would like to read for the record, that the extraction and hauling be performed from daylight to dusk only, that the extraction is performed in accordance with the site plan on file, that the contractor take necessary steps to maintain dust control and prevent spillage, that the contractor shall not haul during inclement weather, that the developer will obtain a local development permit prior to hauling, that the exception will be subject to any requirements of the police jury regarding weight limits on affected parish roads, that the pond not be backfilled, that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices, and upon issuance of a development permit, the exception is for 5 years or when the excavation is complete, whichever occurs first.
Thank you, Ms. Jennifer. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Duhon?
Motion for approval with stipulation.
I have a motion for Mr. Duhon for approval with stipulations. Do I have a second?
Second.
We already have a motion. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Yeah, well,
Oh, okay.
the motion was at the beginning.
I missed it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Number 7 is to take appropriate action on case EX 04-002-11, a request by David Bruce Curry and Bethany Alice Young for a zoning exception to allow a third dwelling on one lot, a manufactured home on Hinch Road in Ward 4. Need a motion and a second.
Motion for approval.
I have a motion by Mrs. Brown
With stipulation.
with stipulations. Second.
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Navarre. Ms. Jennifer?
This property is located south of Sulphur, and it encompasses just over 1 acre of A1 agricultural zone property. The petitioner's daughter would like to move a used 16 by 80 manufactured home onto this property. She will use it as her residence. And there are currently 2 manufactured homes on the property now. Both of those are lived in by family members. And because this lot doesn't have the required square footage and road frontage to facilitate 3 dwellings, in order to proceed, the petitioners have to have a variance from the board. The staff recommends that the request be granted with the stipulations that the development adhere to the site plan on file, that the manufactured home be skirted prior to utilities being connected, and that the manufactured home be for family only. And I believe that the petitioner, if you have questions, I believe that there was an emergency with a family member, and the applicants were unable to come tonight.
Okay, is there any discussion? No cards? No, I don't have any cards on it. The only ones I have is on the amendment.
Guess we vote on it then.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Number 8, we're going to take appropriate action on case FZ 04-001-11, a request by J&P Land Development for a flood variance to allow a road to be constructed below the base flood elevation on Barrett Lane in Ward 4. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion for approval.
Motion
with
by Mr.
stipulation.
Duhon for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Porsche. Ms. Jennifer.
This property is located in the Westlake area, and the overall property encompasses about 49 acres of land. According to the FEMA regulations, structures within this area have to be built to 12 feet above mean sea level. But according to the parish regulations, the roads there can be built 2 feet below that elevation, which would be 10 feet in this case. The existing road, Barrett Lane, that leads to this location has an elevation of about 6 feet. And the petitioners would like to build their road within their subdivision to that existing elevation. And the justification for this request is that if they built it up to the required 10 feet, it would create some damming issues and could negatively impact drainage in the area. So the staff does recommend that this request be granted, and we do have 2 lengthy stipulations that I'd like to read for the record. That an appropriate note be developed and added to the subdivision plat notifying potential property owners of the high probability that the subdivision road will be inundated during high river stages, and further that community and emergency services may be interrupted during those periods, and that the developer agrees to design and construct the roadway to withstand the stages of overtopping and the high velocity flows that it will likely be subject to during its lifespan.
Any further discussion?
Is the developer here?
Yes, Mr. Sellers, could you step to the microphone, please? State your name and address for the record.
Pito Sellers, 1991 Sam Houston Jones Parkway, Lake Charles.
Mr. Seller,
Yes, sir.
your engineers recommended that all the road be at 6 foot, the whole thing?
Yes, sir. If you would look at if you could go back to the next picture, where the one that shows the layout of the property. The river makes a bow right there. It actually goes back north and comes back around and back south. But when the river gets over its banks, all that water comes from the west to the east. Mm-hmm. And then if we build a road up to 8 or 10 foot elevation, every time the river gets out of the banks, it's like building a big long levee. It's just going to wash all that down.
My question was the curved part there that follows the river.
Mm-hmm.
How would that interfere with the flow of the river if it's in line with the river?
Well, the land runs about 7 or 8 feet all along there, so it's going to just slope down across where the water run right across the top of the road. That's why we look at putting some limestone and some rock along there to keep it from washing.
But my question was, why couldn't that road, the curved part of the road be built to standard? Then it wouldn't all be a substandard road. The other part that cuts across, I can understand, being at a lower level.
I'm confused. What are you talking about? The
Curved
curved part on
You
the
only have
river.
one curve on that, don't you?
On the river. Well,
Yeah.
it curves all the way around.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If we,
That would be in the flow of the water, that curve.
that's right. The whole curve.
It wouldn't obstruct anything if it's in the flow.
If it's built higher than the water's going to run into it.
No, it's going with the flow of the river.
No, it's not. The river flow would be going across the road.
Harold?
When it gets out of its bank.
Mr. Duhon.
If I may, what you're seeing on that curved road is a river on one side and a swamp on the other. So, as Mr. Sellers said, anytime that water gets above 6 feet, it flows from the river through the swamp back into the river on the other side. So I guess what he's saying, if you build it any higher than 6 feet, then it's going to be forced to maintain running along the side of that road, which I probably agree with him would probably cause some erosion. It'd probably be best to flow over the road into the swamp, then back into the river.
Well, essentially, you're going to have a 2,000-foot dam to block the water from running across the land, the swamp, back into the river again where the bridge is.
Yes.
Are we talking about, just so we understand about this water flow, are we talking about rising water from the river, or are we talking about storm water that's
Storm water and
coming
stuff
back
like
down
that.
into the river? So
Yes, sir.
damming, is it happening that the damming would hold storm water from flowing into the river? Again, maybe opposite of what Mr. Baker said, or is it not that way?
What it's doing, if you built the road up any higher and you did get storm water or severe flooding, the flow of the water coming through would erode and wash the road out. You know, the undercutting and just natural occurrence of the water washing.
But storm water, not necessarily
Yeah,
rising. Okay.
One other question.
Yes, Mr.
The,
Moore.
I understood that they had you've got a new design for the road. What is that? Somewhere in the literature it said that there's been some change in the technique of making putting the blacktop roads.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah.
It says that the developer agrees to design and construct the roadway to withstand the stages of overtopping and the high velocity flows that it will likely be subject to during.
Yeah,
its
that's the limestone on the edges and stuff to keep from washing and undercutting the road. What they're talking about. The road will be built to parish specs and standards, the DOTD specs that we follow by the parish.
In your opinion, how long you think this road will last? With just.
I mean, it's probably forever. I mean, it's just like Cypress Lake or River Road here or South Perkins Ferry Road in Moss Bluff. I mean, it's just rising waters really all you're looking at.
Any other discussion?
I just want to clarify that we do have a recommendation for approval by our Public Works Director, Mr. Alan Wainwright, copied Mr. Tim Connor, Assistant Parish Engineer. So not understanding exactly how this water is going to flow, not being contractors, I guess probably that gives me some comfort that this is a recommended course of action by our professional staff. So,
Thank you, Mr. Sellers.
Thank you.
Entertain a question? All in favor, state aye.
aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
We had one no.
One no? Okay, Mr. Whitbaker was dissenting. Okay, we took action on 9 in the beginning, so we'll jump to 10. Advise that the police jury will consider adopting an ordinance to clarify the legal description containing an ordinance number 5888, which was adopted on December 16th, 2010, and which rezoned property at 2930 Old Highway 171 from C1 Light Commercial to C2 General Commercial to allow a mechanic shop. For Michael Babineau, reference RZ03-009-10. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Duhon. Second. Ms. Jennifer, could you clarify?
Yes. The applicant in this situation presented us with a legal description that they believed to be correct, And we also believe that it was a correct legal description because when we inputted it into the computer, it matched up. But when we physically took the legal description to our maps to change the colors, the antiquated way that we do things sometimes, we found that the legal description was wrong. What all of you were presented last month was the correct property. The photos were correct. The maps were correct. It's just a matter of the legal description that we run in our ad was incorrect. So that's why we just have an advised item here, and then the police jury on Thursday night will hopefully just adopt a new ordinance with the correct legal description.
So by our motion, are we accepting this change? Is basically what we're doing here, accepting this change to refer to the
It's an
police jury?
agenda item. We would need to vote to further it on.
Well, it is an advised item. I believe that you would want to vote to accept a report or something along those lines. You aren't really taking action.
So, and we have a motion and a second, so we'll vote. Any other discussion? Any other questions? All in favor, said aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Here's where we get into. Ms. Jennifer, before I have a motion to bring to the table, could you clarify for discussion our next agenda item?
Sure. Mr. Sugandi asked all of you in November to grant a request for him to use a building that was under construction on his property as his contractor's office. That was denied that night, and then in December you all met again, and what you did at the December meeting is you decided that you were going to give him 90 days to remove that structure. And Mr. Sugandi has been in contact with our office, and he has presented us with a letter asking for all of you to reconsider. And what he'd like to do at this point is to move the manufactured home that's on the property now. He would like to move that manufactured home off and be permitted to allow this structure that's under construction to be used as his home. And he can do that under the zoning ordinance without your permission, but the issue before you tonight is that you have an order that he has to demolish that structure. So he would like for you to reconsider that and allow him to continue construction as a home. And you should all have the letter. If you do not, just let me know and I can get you one.
Okay, we had made some recommendations on stipulations too. Do you have those with you?
Yes, I sure do.
Mr. Sagani, would you come to the microphone, please, and state your name and address?
David Sugandi, 2413 Glen Prairie, Lake Charles,
Hey,
706.
sir, in essence, what I asked you to come forward for is to kind of give you some clarification. What we're going to propose to do tonight is we're going to propose to make a motion to rehear that item that we ruled on last month next month. If this passes tonight and these board members agree to rehear that motion or rehear more information, we're going to request that you bring more information to the next meeting to help us make a decision, okay? I think the staff has directed you in that way. I think the staff has done a good job of working with you, trying to help you salvage that structure. But we're going to have stipulations. So I'm going to entertain a motion from the board, and we'll get a second, and then we're going to get recommendations from Ms. Jennifer on that motion, okay? I wanted you to understand that that needs to be presented to us next month so we can make a decision,
Okay.
okay? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion for approval for rehearing.
I have a motion by Mr. John Duhon.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Cobb. Could you state the motion so that we clarify
The motion to reconsider or what the stipulations were proposed? I'm sorry.
I think the motion to reconsider.
We need to clarify what that motion is. We need a motion to reconsider so we to bring this back to this board.
Yeah,
at
motion.
February 15th.
The motion is to reconsider to bring this item back to the board,
Right,
placed on the agenda for next month.
right. And at that time, you would reconsider whether you wanted to impose that demolition order for that structure.
Now, this this motion to reconsider requires 2/3 majority. So, is there any further discussion?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
What are we requiring him to bring next month, say we okay it? Does he understand exactly? I don't want to look at a legal pad here with some scribbling on it.
Do you want to clarify, Jimmy?
Yeah, Mr. Segundi, okay, I know that based on the discussion that we had at my office with Jennifer and Wes Crane when we met, you had basically told us that that you would secure the services of the professor out at McNeese, Dr. Uppett. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I had conversation with him.
Okay. What we need you to do is, so if you want to try to move this forward, is we need some type of report from Dr. Uppett
Okay.
to basically tell us what needs to be done at this location, and particularly the foundation. I think is a matter of concern. There's some other issues, but the foundation and the footings and that type of thing, we need some type of report from Dr. Uppett saying that those will meet code.
Okay.
And what you're going to need to do is get with him or get with another structural engineer in order to be able to do that. Dr. Uppett, I'm familiar with him. He's worked with us on some things before, so I think he's well qualified. But you will need to get with him, and we will need some type of report from him so we can consider this as part of the next consideration coming up, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Vickers. And I think we want you to understand that the 90 days we gave you, if we decide to hear further information from you next month, that time clock doesn't stop. If they decide next month, we decide next month that there's not enough information and we still don't believe that you can salvage that structure, that 90-day clock continues. So you need to understand that it's a delay on your part. We're just going to vote to hear more information from you. You understand that?
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Clarify that the motion says motion to reconsider.
Okay, Ms. Christie.
We're actually bringing something next month that will bring something to the table that where we can vote to reverse the action we've taken last month.
We have a motion to reconsider.
Correct?
Need a vote?
We have a motion and a second to reconsider. Would you please do a roll call vote, Ms. Christie? And this vote does require a 2/3 majority of this board to reconsider.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Duhon?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Porsche?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Navarre?
No.
Mr. Gilry?
Yes.
And Chair Doucette.
Yes.
10 for, 1 against to reconsider.
Okay, the motion passes to reconsider. Do you understand what that means, Mr. Segundi?
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to hear more discussion and more information from you next month. If that information still doesn't satisfy this board, the demolition order is still in place, and the clock is still ticking on that. So, good luck to you, and I hope that things work out in your favor. I really do.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Agenda item number 11 is to advise that the police jury took the following action on December 16th, 2010, with reference to the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Board of the December 14th, 2010 meeting. The tally on Highway 14 East granted and upheld. Babineau Old Highway 171 re-granted, they upheld. Need a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I need a motion to accept that item. One more, Mr. Duhon. I'll take that as a motion from you.
Yeah.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now I'll take a motion to adjourn.
We've got one more
Motion to
Huh?
adjourn.
Well, there's 2 11s?
211.
You gotta read the, yeah,
That's supposed to
there are
be
2 11s.
Ah.
next
Gotcha.
police jury item.
The next item on the agenda is to advise that the next regularly scheduled meeting and zoning board meeting will be held Tuesday, February the 15th, 2011, in the Peace Jury Meeting Room at 5:30 p.m. Motion to adjourn? Anyone? So moved. Adjourned.